Next, we're going to be Dr. Tedros Amanuel, friend and a supporter of Afar Nation.
Thank you, dear sisters and brothers. Hi, everybody, and thank you for the Eritrean Afar National Congress, and in particularly its president, my dear friend Ahmed Yassin Musa. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's an honor and a privilege to address you today. I will be very brief because I've been given 5 minutes. As a member of a Swedish association called the Friends of Afar, I followed the Afar movement since 2002. I still remember the historic meeting held in Uppsala, Sweden, where Afar scholars and community leaders agreed upon the alphabet that remains the foundation of written Afar language today. It's not the guess. The milestone of that milestone represents not only the preservation of a language, but also the affirmation of a people's identity and dignity. Over the years, I've also followed the development of the Eritrean Afar National Congress with great interest. I commend your steadfast commitment to promoting peaceful, alternative formed on democratic principles of federalism and respect for Eritrea's diversity. I believe, like many of you here, that the interests of the people of the Horn are fundamentally shared rather than mutually exclusive. Lasting peace can only be achieved through dialogue, negotiation, cooperation, compromise, and by addressing the root cause of the conflict: injustice, poverty, exclusion, and ignorance. I'm a physician, I'm a medical doctor, so who has spent more of my professional life abroad. So today I would like to raise two questions, not to answer them, but to encourage you to reflect. You all know that the history of the whole of the past centuries has been marked by recurrent wars and political violence. Almost every generation has lived through one or two major conflicts, leaving nearly every family directly or indirectly affected. All physicians know war leaves psychological as well as physical scars. Many survivors develop post-traumatic stress syndrome disorder, and its effects can extend beyond individuals to families, communities, and institutions. So this brings me to my first question. What has this cumulative impact of repeated war and collective trauma on our society? Could our recurrent inability to solve differences peacefully and our tendency to embrace politics driven by fear, mistrust, and hostility be partly explained by a long-term effect of unresolved trauma in both at the individual and societal level? So this is a question. Everything, you know, has a beginning, a continuation, and an end. The current regime in Eritrea will also come to an end, just as the regimes of Emperor Haile Selassie, the Derg, the TPLF-led regime have also eventually did. Yet history teaches us the fall of a regime, or even independence, does not automatically bring peace, as the case of Eritrea today. One important reason is the deeper issues of truth, accountability, justice, reconciliation, and healing have often been left unresolved. Building lasting peace requires not only political change, it demands dialogue, acknowledgement of suffering, accountability, perhaps restorative and retroactive justice for all the victims, particularly from Eritrea's marginalized community. The goal should not only, and it's important, to restore the dignity of those who suffered, but most importantly, to rehabilitate and enable those responsible to accept accountability by rehabilitating and contributing to rebuilding the society. And this leads me to the second question. To what extent is unresolved post-traumatic stress disorder, both at an individual and societal level, preventing our society from breaking the cycle of violence and finding sustainable peace, democracy, and reconciliation? As all physicians, I know, have learned that wounds do not heal simply because time passes. Healing begins when wounds are acknowledged and treated, and I believe the same is true of nations. If Eritrea is to become a country where all people live together in dignity, equality, mutual respect, political change alone will not be enough. We must also heal the psychological and moral wounds left by decades of war, repression, and mistrust. Some of it is intergenerational. Only then can we replace fear with trust, hatred with understanding, and conflict with peaceful coexistence. I've been given 5 minutes. I think I've made it for 30. Thank you for giving the opportunity and wish you good luck.
Thank you, Dr. Tedros. It was very nice seeing you once more. You were the first who gave a solidarity message along with Brother Heroi in Uppsala, Sweden.